Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. This video is going to be about why narcissistic people tend to be so stubborn and some signs of stubbornness within a person that you might be able to recognise. Thank you very much for the returning subscribers and your continued support with the channel. If you are new to the channel, I'm Elizabeth Shaw. This channel is all about the narcissist personality disorder to give you more understanding of the people you might be dealing with in your life, how to handle yourself around those people if you cannot go no contact, and different methods to find what works for you to help you overcome narcissistic abuse. If you do find the information helpful on the channel, please do subscribe. So when it comes to stubborn people, they will not change their ideas, their thoughts, their opinions, or their feelings. They'll not change their attitude, even if there is facts and evidence against their arguments. They will be incredibly determined not to change their mind and stay true to what they believe is right. And often they do this, they refuse to budge because they want to get their own way. And they're going to refuse to do anything else until they get their own way. Just like a toddler, once it learns that if it's stubborn, its mummy or daddy will give in and give the toddler what it wants, it learns to continue to be stubborn to get its own way. And for people who aren't so stubborn, for people who are trying to avoid disagreements and arguments, they can often give in to stubborn people, not realising that they're enabling the stubborn behaviour within that other person, and they're not protecting anyone from any conflict, they're not protecting anyone from the drama, they're actually harming both parties unwittingly. However, the person who's been stubborn is learning that that behaviour works for them, and the person that's trying to be reasonable ends up losing who they are as a person. And often it's done through many manipulative and gaslighting terms, that those who are trying to be agreeable don't realise what's happening to them while they are in it. Which is why when they step out of it, it's very difficult to create boundaries, because they then feel like they're being the stubborn one. And they don't want to be the stubborn one. They don't want to deal with stubborn people, and they don't want to be stubborn towards people. There is a big difference. There are people who are stubborn to exploit others to meet a need of their own. And then there are people who create boundaries who might come across as stubborn. However, they are creating these boundaries to protect themselves from stubborn, exploitative people. And they're creating the boundaries to teach that exploitative person, that stubborn person, that that behaviour won't work with you as a person. So they either accept you for who you are, respect your values, respect your beliefs, respect your boundaries, or they leave you alone. Having beliefs and values isn't being stubborn. Trying to manipulate people in order to get your own needs met is. So why are narcissists so stubborn? Their exploitative behaviour. They're seeking to gain reward from others. They're seeking to exploit people. They're seeking to fall silent and sulk so that people pander to the narcissist. People give in to the stubborn person and give the stubborn person what they want, seeking excessive attention. If they're not getting their own way and they can sulk about it and people start giving them the attention, or they can fall silent and people start giving them attention, they're getting that attention, and they're also hoping that the next time you'll not say no to them because you don't want the silent treatment, you don't want the sulks, you don't want to offend them, you want to agree with them and help them out, and they're making you feel like you're being stubborn by not giving them their own way because they want to exploit your kind nature. Two agreeable people can work with each other. They can discourse and they can compromise and they can see different points of view. An agreeable person with a disagreeable person, the disagreeable person is always going to be seeking control through many manipulative techniques. People can be stubborn to avoid pain, which is different to creating boundaries. So if you go to a narcissist with facts and evidence of something they definitely did do, and there's going to be consequences to their actions, they're going to be stubborn and deny all knowledge of doing it to avoid the pain of the consequences for their actions. People can be stubborn to avoid pain by creating boundaries on who they are as a person, not to hurt the other person, but so that the other person cannot hurt themselves. With a narcissist, it's their ego. They're stubborn because they don't want to be wrong. They want to exaggerate. They want people to look up to them. They want people to shower them with attention. Envy is another reason why someone will be stubborn, because they're envious of someone else's achievements, talents, looks, whatever it is. The narcissist is envious within that other person. They can be stubborn towards that other person because of their own hidden agenda of being hurtful towards the person the narcissist is envious of. Or if somebody has created a boundary around the narcissist and not given the narcissist their own way, the narcissist is going to become incredibly stubborn, not only to try and get their own way, but also to seek revenge on the person who said no to them. Often why they end up sulking, because they feel like you've criticised them by saying no to them, so they're going to punish you by falling silent on you, by sulking around you, by bringing you down to feel better about themselves. Narcissists are stubborn to deny all knowledge so that they can't be shamed for their behaviour. They will often pass the blame over to somebody else. Their sense of entitlement is often why they are stubborn, because they believe that they are entitled to have what they want, when they want, whenever they want it, with whoever they want. And when they don't get their own way, when they don't get their needs met, they are incredibly stubborn people due to their sense of entitlement, due to them seeking that excessive attention, due to them being preoccupied with themselves. So some signs of stubbornness within a person. Number one, they always have to be right. They will refuse to admit fault. Some people can be stubborn, yet they can be realistic. They can stick to their own beliefs, yet they can recognise somebody else's. They can recognise their own behaviour. They can recognise other people's behaviour. They can recognise other people's opinions, yet stick to their own opinion. Narcissists will go around dismissing everybody else's opinion because to them only theirs matters, because they are right. Narcissistic people will barefaced lie with facts and evidence in front of them because they believe that they're right and you are the one that's in the wrong. You shouldn't have got that evidence. You shouldn't have called them out on something. You shouldn't have done something that made them do something, because to a narcissist, they're always right. And if they are wrong, it's those rule one, they're always right. Rule two, if they are wrong, rule one applies. They are right. And if they are wrong, you must have done something to make them be wrong. Therefore, they were right and you were wrong. And when you're constantly around somebody who's always got to be right, always making you out to be in the wrong, you're going to feel invalidated. You're going to feel confused. You're not going to know what to think. You're going to be full of frustration, anger, and resentment. You're going to be sensitive. You're going to be in a state of hypervigilance for not wanting to put your foot in it in case you offend them and they start falling silent or sulking on you. 2, they don't apologise. They refuse to admit fault because they don't believe they are at fault, because they always think they're right. They might apologise with the false apology, to exploit somebody, to get their needs met. So they might come at you with, I'm sorry if you hadn't. I'm sorry, but you. They're always going to pass the blame over to you in some way within that apology. They don't want to recognise their behaviour. Narcissists don't want to be held responsible for their behaviour. Therefore, they're not going to change their behaviour. They're not going to admit fault. And they're always going to find a scapegoat to blame. 3, they can rage out at you if you give them any form of constructive criticism, or if you point something out that they might have been wrong on. And no matter how you try to point it out in a genuine way, in an authentic way, in a way to help them out, they are going to take this as a personal attack, and they're either going to rage out at you or fall silent on you, those passive aggressive sulks and silent treatments, because they believe you've attacked them. They believe they're right and you should agree with them. And if you don't agree with them, they are going to come at you. They're going to try and get you to change your mind. Many will even pity play or guilt trip with the, after all I've done for you, oh, I knew it would be my fault, oh, I knew you wouldn't take my side, to make you feel bad because they have to be right. 4, if they are proven wrong, they are going to find an excuse for why they were right. They're going to rationalise it, to plant seeds of self-doubt within your mind. They're going to appeal to popular opinion, or they're going to appeal to the fact that your neighbours have done it, so it's okay if they do it, that their best friend did it, so it's okay if they do it. They're going to plant that reasonable doubt within your mind. They're going to say that something didn't happen that you know did happen, yet because it's in the past, you can't prove that it happened. Or they're going to claim that somebody's done something that you don't know, and potentially they could have done that thing, but because you don't know, you don't know. They're going to put that reasonable doubt within your headspace so that you question yourself and not them. 5, they might have extremist beliefs because they lack the empathy, they lack the ability to see it from another person's point of view, because they've always got to be right within their opinion. Even if they don't agree with somebody else's opinion, they're going to find a way to pull that person down, to tear that person to pieces, to cause reasonable doubt within other people's minds, so other people also tear those people to pieces, because they lack the empathy to see it from someone else's perspective. They can't even go for the agree to disagree. They can't even see it from their point of view and just say, yeah, I get it, but it's not for me. I can't fully understand it. To them, they are right. They're going to have extremist views that are very hurtful and damaging towards other people. 5, they gaslight people. They gaslight people's reality. They gaslight by love bombing and idolizing to sell people an illusion to get their needs met. They gaslight by insulting, invalidating, devaluing so that people no longer feel enough. They gaslight by getting people to question their reality so that they question their own sanity, so that they feel like they're the ones going crazy, so that the narcissist can always be right. Their views aren't going to match up. Their words and actions aren't going to match up. The story they tell one person, when you're around another person, they're going to tell a completely different story. And if you bring up the story they originally told you, they're going to deny all knowledge so that you're the one left feeling like you're going crazy. And number 6, people might have actually tried to warn you about that person. Yet because you'd rather get to know people for who they are, you might have ignored what the people were telling you. You might have ignored your instincts because you didn't understand or know the red flags, because you wanted to see the best in those that were selling you an identity of a decent person, only it wasn't who they turned out to be. So how do you handle stubborn people that feel a need to be right all the time? You will let them be wrong. You cannot teach anybody who will not admit fault. You cannot teach anybody who always has to be right. You can choose to walk away and let them be wrong and go and live your life for you. Because if you're trying to point out why they are wrong, they're just going to get into loggerheads with you to try and point out why you are wrong. And then you're going to feel like you're turning into them. When in reality, they might be wrong, they might be right. Either way, let them go and live their life while you go and live your life. If someone drains everything from you, if someone fails to communicate with you, if somebody turns your feelings into arguments, if you can't be yourself around somebody, if you bring the worst out in each other, if you don't feel safe to be yourself, to have your opinions and your beliefs, then you have every right to walk away, to let them be wrong and go and live your life for you. If anyone has any thoughts on the video, please add those into the comments. I shall link into the description the videos on the narcissist, exploitation, and the entitled narcissist, which explain more on both of those and why it's so difficult to communicate with a narcissist and why we need to stop explaining ourselves to them. Thank you very much for listening. Go out there, create the day that you deserve, because you do deserve to have an amazing day. Bye.